I've been building this game for 4 weeks now, where I've spent 20 minutes every single day working on it. The goal of this entire challenge is to participate in Steam Next Fest in June with a full demo, and then the month after that I will have a full Steam release. And here's the twist: for every new subscriber I gain during this challenge, I will increase the max population cap of the city in the final release of the game. This is week number 5, and the goals for this week is to make playtesting easier, adding a main menu and a pause menu. And then, of course, we're continuing on the week 4, where we're building a Steam page. That means this week I want to have some sort of first iteration of trailer, or at least of the clips for one. I want to have all the GIFs fixed for the Steam description. And the past few weeks have been really focused on making it feel good, by adding effects, by adding post-processing, by adding more optimization to add actual people, by making the play movement smoother and things like that. When you place up Building Ghost, right here you can see the trees are still in the way. And then there's also a bit of a weird bug where you kind of hover over a building, but it doesn't really detect that you're hovering over it, and it makes it harder to, well, actually select the building. So really we can just go here and say that fix so that visual details are hidden. Let's see if the preview hides the details, and it does seem that it actually does. And also if we place a building, it also removes them totally. Now the last week I have kind of changed a bit of my mind on how this game is supposed to be interpreted. So before it was more like a giant tycoon where there's a bunch of dopamine triggers everywhere, but now I kind of want to go more for a cozy game. And now that I just realized that, so that the selected building should actually be shown with maybe some blue border or something, I think we need that. So maybe there should be like a blue ring around the entire building. The question is, should it be at the bottom or at the top? I think the bottom would look a bit better. I mean, let's see if AI can actually do that. I'm not sure, I'm kind of experimenting to see what the capabilities of a coding AI is. Can it like actually make the visuals? If we make it too blue, it will also kind of disrupt the visuals of the people walking around. But right now there's really no feedback on an actual selected building, which is the problem. If I just select this one, I have no idea that is the one I have selected. So now we have each place building now listens for that event and shows a blue bottom ring built with a line renderer. Now that it listens to an event might be unnecessary. When the side panel selects or clears a building, it raises a selection changed event so the world highlight stays in sync. Wouldn't it be better if side panel actually just called the affected building and showed the actual selection ring instead of the side panel calling an event that goes to all the buildings? I'm not sure, I think I will change that. So is there actually a blue ring? I do not see one, but it might just not be visible too, because it might be under the ground or something. Instead of making AI do it, I am going to make a new selected object. And it's basically just gonna be a ring around the entire thing. And then we really just want this to be as big as the entire building block. Or maybe the entire building should just turn blue or something. But I think we'll try with this one. So we'll have to edit the code to remove that implementation of selection visual. Instead use the blocks selected game objects. So now the custom runtime ring is removed. Selection now just toggles the prefabs built-in selected visual. So if we select the building, it turns blue. That's actually quite a bit better. Maybe we want some animation on it, where it just kind of flows in instead of just popping up. I'm going to actually get back to the Steam page work by working on the actual GIFs and trailer. There's some few GIFs we need. We need to show the synergies, we need to show the building placement, we need to show the world expansion, and also the details of the streets down here with like the people walking around. And really the setup to record these GIFs is pretty simple. So I basically have the scene view right here, which you can see. I'm gonna just have the game on another screen where I actually play it, and then I record the scene view to see how it actually changes. And with the new debug commands, I just recorded the GIF for the world expansion. Right here, I can just write something like unlock next expansion tiles while I'm playing, and that just makes this whole process so much easier, because now it will queue 3 expansion tiles to come up from the water. I basically just record a little snippet like 1 to 2 minutes, and then we basically try and make it into a 5 to like 7 second GIF. So right here I ran the unlock tile command, and you can see there on the right, a new tile comes up. And then I basically start placing some buildings on the new tile in the actual game scene. And this will probably be, this section right here is probably going to be part of the final GIF. And after this GIF is done, there are 2 more GIFs I would like. And that is less like this one where it's literally a time lapse. I want a more relaxed one. And then of course one being down on the actual streets of the people. And then we basically have all the GIFs. Now I've cut down the first GIF I was working on, which is the world expansion, where you basically just see 2 tiles come up and then me placing buildings on them. But there is a bug I noticed in here, and that is that the water shader is actually cutting out other effects or UI or text like here. The plus 10% gets cut off. And then I did also make another GIF, which is basically a time lapse of a city being built, where you can see it go from small to big in a few seconds. Now I did notice a bug in this one right here too. You can see that the hover pills for the buildings are actually stuck on these 2 buildings right here. Apparently there was 2 different bugs that was causing that, but I mean, at least I got 2 GIFs done, so that's good progress. So now we actually have almost a done Steam description. And usually the Steam description structure is basically the same for every game. Header for each kind of feature, I guess you could say. A short 2 to 3 sentences about that thing, and then a GIF. We have then the GIF of the city being built. Then we have Discover Powerful Synergies, where you can see the synergies in the GIF, to where you see the tiles come up from the ocean and then be built upon them. And then the last one we made yesterday was the relax optimization one, where you see a city being built from the start. And now really there's only one GIF remaining, where we basically want to capture kind of the coziness of the game, with pedestrians walking, lights glowing, and some different effects. So my idea is, well, maybe I should have like the camera move across the streets just like this, and have a bunch of people walking by, and this is during the night of course, so that you can see the windows glow. This actually turned out to be one of the hardest GIFs to record apparently. I met several issues while I was trying to record this, and now I do have 3 clips I've come up with. The first problem was that, well, the upgraded buildings didn't actually have real lights. The new visuals didn't have the light prefabs, they were just objects in the upgraded visual. Basically updated that for the second GIF. But here I also realized that, well, there's basically no people walking around, and the day is also coming, so the windows are getting kind of less yellow, which might not look as I want it to. But for the final clip, so the clip I'm probably actually going to be using is this one. I tried to go for a night so that you can see the glowing windows. There's also multiple pedestrians walking around, although it is also 20 seconds, so it's a bit too long. I kind of tried to make some turns to make it more interesting. Now it's just a matter of cutting it down, and really most of these GIFs I've just kind of sped up. So really if we just double the speed and cut out the start and the end, it's now 8 seconds, and I think that should actually work. And with that we basically have the full Steam page done. So it's a nice mix that I think will work pretty well together. Well, I'm not 100% pleased with all of these, but it's also, I have to actually make the Steam page, and if it looks good enough, that's gonna have to be good enough for the Steam page to start with. And well, compared to my last Steam release with X of Steel, this game is actually something I might want to play by myself, because, well, it's a nice cozy game. I can just sit and turn my brain off and chill with it. Sadly, there was only enough time to make this one GIF because of the issues that kind of came up while I was working on it. I'm going to get to work on the actual main menu and pause menu. And before I started recording, I thought I would basically set up some assets for this real quick, and that wouldn't really be a problem. I already had a few assets that I tried to get working with the corner rounding in the sprite editor, but never really managed. When I didn't get that working is that I changed it up in Canva. Now I thought this would take maybe like 5 minutes, but it turned out that it took about 30 minutes. And as you can see here, there are a lot of iterations, and here's my test button. But now I actually think I've done it. Actually try this out. So if we have our background here, and if I put in this second version, it should look about right, and it actually does. That feels insanely good. Like, I've been sitting tackling this for so long, and now it finally works. We're going to make the pause menu now, instead of sitting and trying fixing all these random buttons. Now I am still considering what to do with the font, like if I should keep this knee wave, where I should use it, where I shouldn't use it, but I'm kind of experimenting and just seeing what really works. Now we have 3 continue buttons, but obviously we want a options button. Although I won't be working on the options menu today, it's gonna be a work in progress soon enough. And we'll have a main menu button. And they do look like they are bold, but the text isn't bold, which is kind of annoying. Maybe I need to change the actual font asset. We want some shadows on these buttons too. And I think we have a nice pause menu. Also make sure that it actually works with the code and it's not just getting you stuck in the game all the time. So let's create a new script. Pause menu, UI. And I do feel like I am kind of falling behind on the whole marketing thing for the actual game, but I am also trying to actually get progress on the Steam page while also keeping the motivation up. Because if I'm just constantly pushing, trying to make the Steam page, I will probably get tired and procrastinate it even more. So that's why I've kind of tried to weave in some actual work on the game and not just on the Steam page. And we'll really just add our serialized field so that the AI has context of what it's actually working with. And maybe we should have like a base UI class that connects to all the UIs that can be closed. Basically, if the side panel is open, escape should close that. But if no UI is open, the pause menu should open. And well, really the base UI should just have show and a hide function. Now we just tell the AI fix so that the side panel uses the base UI and set up the pause menu UI. Made the entire pause menu UI with a ton of different things and hooked up all the different buttons. And it really extended on the base UI, which I didn't expect, but I mean, I think it works with the static instances of all the base UI instead of having a separate base UI manager. So now if I press escape, the pause menu opens. If I press continue, it goes back. If I'm placing a building, it stops the building placing. And if I press this and now I press escape, it closes that. Although the console is obviously not connected to this, it also closes and opens on escape. And well, the only thing I'll have time for today is probably just copying this pause menu and then creating a canvas and adding the buttons and just have them like over here instead. And then we'll have some sort of decorations or stuff. And of course the buttons should probably be quite a bit bigger. And this is basically the main menu, although it doesn't have the logic. Yesterday I did actually get some more work done. Well, I added a single new button. I did also try and build a bit of a scene for the actual main menu. So if we go in the game view, this is kind of the idea. It's a bit similar to the Steam capsule where you have half of the screen is a city and then we have the menu to the side where there's basically mostly water. Although these cutoffs might be a bit too harsh. I also realized that I probably want a loading scene. If you don't have a loading scene, the main menu will just freeze for a few seconds and then load into your game scene, which doesn't really look that good. So that's why you have a loading scene. So you basically just have a custom scene load manager that calls a loader and then the loading scene has a loader callback. I did actually do an experiment. I was basically sitting yesterday evening and thought, well, if everything inside Unity is basically made up of code, so why shouldn't my coding AI right here be able to actually change the scene? I basically just told it to use the assets in the project and basically create a scene. Now it doesn't look good. You can't say it looks good because it doesn't. So the AI basically added all these trees. Not very impressive, but I didn't know it was even possible. And the AI also made this slight animation when it's loading in. And just before recording today, I was trying to fix an issue that has been present since I started, and that is with the hover pill. So, as you can see, if I hover over it, the hover pill is there, but if I go like this, it actually gets cuts off. I thought this was with the better fog, which is the asset I'm using for the actual fog in the distance, but it might also be the water. So I basically just tried to find out what the issue with this was, and apparently the only real clean solution to this for all future world space UIs is to not have world space UIs. but actually cannot track them to the position and use a screen space overlay, because well, I was sitting and trying to fix it and I didn't really come up with a solution I was pleased with. But it might also have to do with the water. I haven't actually looked into that, if it could be the water, because I mean it could. But for today, instead of trying to fix this issue, I need to actually focus on the Steam page, because the Steam page needs to get up, needs to get done. And that's why I'm going to try and record some clips for the actual trailer. So I'm going to try and record some of these clips and see what I can get together. It felt like when making the trailer for X of Steel, there's nothing crazy really happening. But compared to a horror game like X of Steel, there's monsters chasing you, there's lights blinking on and off, there's rituals, there's effects, all of that stuff. But I guess it's just a learning curve to actually try and record this and make a trailer that's interesting. Before we get into recording, I wanted to update the outline a bit, because the old one down here was more of a idle game that goes fast, but I kind of want to lean more into a relaxed city tycoon and go for the more cozy. Oh, so basically I just got a new outline that now instead focuses on being slow and nice and chill. And I might not be able to get that many clips today, but I'm going to try to get at least one of them. And that is maybe the first placement. So I'm actually recorded quite a few different clips for the starting placement. 4 different clips of it, where you basically place the residential building in the middle, the commercial building on the left, and then the park building on the right. And you see the synergies, of course. This, you just hear the buildings being placed, and you might not really understand why there are blue lines that are flying above the buildings when actually placing. That is the synergies. So I real quick tried fixing that by adding a synergy sound, which is basically a chime that plays when the trailer ends. Now, I mean, a lot of things do get better when you edit them. When you just look at them raw like this, it looks pretty bland, but I think I can do something with this. Just having 20 minutes every morning working on a trailer is really not a lot of time. Like, I mean, I got one single clip done, but as long as it's progress, and I'm pleased with it. So this will be day 6 and 7, because I won't really have the time to record tomorrow, even though I might work a little bit. But I think that might actually be a potential benefit, because then I will have a bit more time today to actually get some more focused work done. And I do kind of need that to actually make the trailer work. So I kind of worked on the Steam capsule for about 30 minutes in the evening or something. And this was basically the one I was kind of pleased with, but then I ended up actually going for more this, where I kind of changed the composition, I made it more clean, and also, well, kind of increased the shadows and changed the fonts. But today I really want to continue on the trailer. I need a big city during the night, I need a time-lapse sequence, which might be able to record it at the same time, synergy activations and stuff like that, and then a final city that's really big. Well, none of them are exactly hard to do, but it could take some time to really like get the setup going. I really want all the clips for a trailer to actually be done this week, because I want to get the Steam page up as early as possible. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get that done today. So I've sat for about 40 minutes now recording the different clips, and I basically have all of them, except for the last one right here, best full city shot you can compose, but right now I have a time lapse of an entire city being built, then I reuse that with the tile expansion, so when you see the tiles come up from the ground, I have synergies, which I'm kind of unsure about how that will look, and I also just played a bit and kind of recorded it, and maybe I would use that, and then as part of that I also just upgraded a ton of buildings for the upgrade animation. And I think I'm going to try and actually sit down and play the game to see if I actually enjoy it. Because right now I feel uncertain if this will actually be a satisfying core loop. Because, well, you just place buildings, earn more money, unlock new land, and then place even more buildings. And I'm not sure if that's enjoyable. And I think it's been a really interesting week, to be honest with you. We've actually gotten quite a lot done that might not be on the actual game, but for the Steam page. Of course, there's been some progress with the game. We have the main menu, which actually looks decent. I think it's a good first iteration. As an extra to that, I did also add a loading screen, And all the GIFs have been recorded and the Steam description is done. And then of course, what we've been doing yesterday and today a bit is getting the clips for the teaser trailer. And then of course upload all of this to the actual Steam page. But with that, I hope you have made some progress on your games this week and I will see you next week.